almost all of people over 50. So not everyone, but people over 50 have Chagas disease. So that's a really big number. That means when you're talking to people, it's very likely that they have Chagas disease themselves. But the reason this is tricky is that not all of those people actually get sick. So they might have the parasite and they can pass it if they have a baby or if they have blood contact with someone else. They might not actually get hurt by the disease. And what I mean by that is that everyone will likely get that first wave of symptoms, what I said. So that's like the flu. So you get it and then it goes away. You're like, okay, I'm fine. It was just a passing thing. So most people, they just get that and then they're never affected by it again. So it's not really a big problem in their lives. 3 out of 10 of those people, so 30%, about a third, will then get the second round of symptoms, which are the really bad things. So what that is, it either affects your heart. So a lot of these people, the electricity that runs through your heart starts getting messed up. Yeah?
We raised money to get heart pacers.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to get to. That's like the most important thing that you can do to help right now. So those people, those 3 out of 10, which when you think about it, the numbers is kind of hard, but if 98% of people over 50, so a big majority of people there, get Chagas, and then 3 out of 10 of those people get the second round, that's still a big number. I'm not great at math, I don't know the exact how that breaks down, but that's a lot of people. So what happens to those people is their hearts, first of all, I don't have pictures right now, but I can send you some later. Some of their hearts are getting enlarged, so they get like twice the size of a normal heart, which sounds great if it's Valentine's Day and you want a big heart, but not to actually help your body. And then those people start having trouble breathing, and that's why they start needing a pacemaker, which is what you guys are helping with. So what pacemakers do is they're a little device, and it's kind of like, it's like your own heart machine. And it kind of sparks your heart to beat in a regular way when it stops working well. And for some people, it can help with very little heart problems. If you have an arrhythmia, if you have like an irregular heartbeat, sometimes people will get, I think that's true, sometimes people will get a pacemaker. And it basically helps to make your heart normal again, to beat regularly. And it's not really a big deal surgery. You know how you always hear about open heart surgery, which is when they're actually changing your heart, and that can be scary. Instead, yeah, it's not that. It's not this. Instead, it's just a little area on your chest where they implant this little machine, and then they connect it with leads, which I think you might have heard about because you're raising money for those too.
Right, the leads.
So the leads help connect the heart to that pacemaker, and that's what gets your heart to start beating regularly, to start to have energy again. And basically, if you don't get that and your condition worsens, you would eventually die because you're going to stop breathing. And so I was talking to a patient, his name was Freddie, he was only 30. A lot of patients are much older, and he was only 30, and his heart was beating at 20 beats per minute. That's really slow. So he really...
Typically, what
yeah,
do
what's
hearts
normal?
beat at per minute? I don't know, but
Isn't
20
it more
is
like,
really,
yeah,
really
isn't it more like
slow.
60?
Yeah, I'm not a pre-med or a doctor student, so I'm not great with the actual facts of medicine, but I'm good at communicating what I do know. So anyway, so his heart was beating really slowly, and I was interviewing him, and he felt okay. He knew that something was very wrong because he had really low energy. He was trying to work and he couldn't work anymore, so he stopped working. And he knew that as his condition got worse, he was eventually not going to be able to breathe and live. And so he actually, after I left, he got his pacemaker surgery. So they implanted the pacemaker, and then that helped get his heart back to normal. And now, he's in his 30s, and he's going to have a much longer life. Otherwise, if he hadn't gotten that intervention...
Oh wow, he's in his 30s.
Yeah, he's only 30. The other patient we have is about 50. And he is this patient who... he's kind of the star of the video I'm making, which is the reason I went there. I haven't even gotten to that part. But his name is Senor Demetrio, and he lives in one of these towns with various, with these kind of huts. And so he doesn't know exactly how he got Chagas, but probably from the vinchuca, that bug. It's a really ugly bug. I was so scared I was going to see it, but I never saw it. Yeah.
Were you scared that you were going to
One of the parents went in, and I think he showed us a picture
Of the bug?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. She's a doctor. Okay. Yeah, so both of your questions. You said, were you scared you were going to get it? And then the vinchuca. So I wasn't scared I was going to get it because usually at night it's when it comes out. And so when you're sleeping in one of those huts, that's when it's most dangerous. So I was sleeping outside of those towns in the main town. So every morning we were driving, like a 2-hour drive on really bumpy roads. and in my house it was concrete walls, so we were protected. But I was a little scared that when I went into the houses of the families, and so what these guys are doing is they're looking for vinchucas in the houses, and if they find any, they take out everything in the house and they fumigate it. And what that is they spray the stuff and they kill all the vinchucas. Yeah, so this is finding vinchucas, this is killing vinchucas. And so what that does, it makes sure that that house is safe for someone to live in. So I wasn't living in one of these houses, but if in one of the houses, the vinchuca like fell and came out and bit me, then it would be scary. But I also, it's most scary that it happens at night, so you don't know. For me, if I were to get it, I would see it, I would know, I would get checked, and I would hopefully be fine and get the medicine for it. So anyway, and then you said about the vinchuca, it's this huge, like little beetle-looking bug. It's really ugly. And one of the veterinarians, because they were doing some stuff with animals there, who was working there, said that one of the families she was helping asked her to come in for lunch, and so she was sitting down at lunch, eating some food and being polite, and then a vinchuca fell from the ceiling right on the table, and she freaked out, and then they caught it, and it was fine. So that never happened to me, but it's a pretty ugly bug. So anyway, so a lot of these patients have Chagas disease. Some of them end up being fine, and that's also sometimes part of the problem because they're not exposed to the news. They don't, read scientific articles, a lot of them, because they seem really happy. I talked to a lot of them, and they have a very simple life, which I'm sure I would sometimes love too. You just hang out with your family. They have dogs. They plant vegetables and things, but they don't know a lot about Chagas disease, and some of them think it's just a thing that everyone has and it's not a big deal. And part of that is because it's kind of true. A lot of people have it, and it's fine. But then those 3 out of 10 who have it have serious problems. So it's kind of a complicated issue because it's not just, oh, you get Chagas disease, you're going to die. It depends on the situation. Yeah?
Are the vinchuca bugs coming anywhere close to the United States?
So the bugs themselves aren't coming. That's a great question. And that's also, for us, we don't want to get Chagas. We don't want our friends to get Chagas. So the bug itself isn't coming, but the parasite, Chagas disease, is coming kind of. So basically, if there are immigrants from a place where there is Chagas, and they come to the States, and they do a blood transfusion, or they donate blood, anything like that, it's in your blood. So you can't get it like someone, don't worry, it's okay. So someone can give it to you, like shake your hand and give you Chagas, but if you were to have some kind of surgery and someone donated blood and had Chagas in it, you could get it. But, so, because this, around a few decades ago, they started realizing this, or maybe it was last decade, and so now they check for Chagas. So now you can't donate blood if you get Chagas. So don't be scared, you're not going to just suddenly wake up and have Chagas. It's just that, it's not that no one in the United States has it, because if you lived in a country where you had it, and you come in, you still have it and you live in the States, and your kids could have it, because it can be passed down from parent to child, mother to child.
Yeah, when you give blood, years ago when you gave blood, they never tested for Chagas because they weren't aware of it. But now that so many people are coming in from South America and this is people are more aware of it, they're requiring that test to be taken when you're in a hospital donating blood. So
it's not
you're not going to get it that way.
Yeah, so don't worry. If you need blood, you'll be fine.
Just 1 second. Yeah. These guys are actually going to go in a few minutes. So if you want to just take the last few minutes, just talk about about your video, about your documentary, I think that would be great.
Yeah. So the reason I actually went to Bolivia, I wanted to go regardless because I wanted to see the situation firsthand, but I wanted to go with a purpose because I didn't want to just go and be like, oh, I'm just watching. So I went with this CDC doctor who's the head of it. Her name's Ava. And I kind of followed her around, shadowed her, but also interviewed anyone I could. So I interviewed about 25 people. I'd say 10 of them were doctors and 15 of them were patients. And so I interviewed them about, what is Chagas disease? What do you know about it? Kind of trying to figure out what people know. And so that's kind of part of this whole documentary project. But my real purpose was to make an educational video. So remember how I said how they don't really know a lot about Chagas disease, and they also don't really understand that some people get it and they're fine, and some people get it and need a pacemaker. So a lot of people who need a pacemaker, they've never been to a hospital, they've never been to the city, Santa Cruz, where you have to go to get it. So I wanted to make a video to them to explain, this is the process. It's not open heart surgery. It's just this little thing. These are the risks. This is what you'd have to do after. this is why you would need it, and then how you'll feel after. And so I'm almost done with it now. It takes a really long time to edit a video, so I'm about to send it out for its finally get it back to Bolivia. But basically, I have this 20-minute video with these two people kind of doing kind of a skit to say, I don't know about Chagas, can you explain what it is? And then, why would I need a pacemaker, and explaining that. And then also, remember that guy I talked about, Senor Demetrio, who's the patient? The whole video, I have videos of him talking about his experience. So for them, it doesn't mean that much for a random American girl or someone to say, you should really get a pacemaker, it's really important. It means a lot more when there's someone from their town who lives in their same houses, who knows their friends and their family, to say, I was scared before, I thought it was open heart surgery, I didn't want to get it, my family was scared, and then I did it, and this is how it went, this is how I feel now, this is why it's better. Yeah.
What do you have to do after you get the pacemaker?
So right after, there's like a month of recovery, so it's not like you can go running right away. So you're kind of resting and taking it easy. And then you go back in for checkups. So that's kind of to make sure they kind of check the electricity, make sure it's working. And every day you clean it. So that's really important because there's a wound. With just soap and water, and it's like stitches.
You're not cleaning the pacemaker.
Oh, sorry,
you're
you're not cleaning the machine, but to put the pacemaker in, you have a tiny little scar right there. And so it's stitches, and then they take them out. Kind of like if you cut your toe and you got stitches. So they just have to clean it because it can get infected, and especially in Bolivia, the water from the ponds and everything is really bad. So they have to make sure they use clean water. So that's actually usually the biggest problem, is just keeping it. It's not the actual putting it in. But it's not, the pacemaker will help you for 7 to 10 years, and then the battery starts to die, so they have to put in a new one. But for those 7 to 10 years, it's just cleaning it and keeping care of it.
Every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, I'm gonna say.
Something about cleaning the wound.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe the battery.
For the pacemakers, we ever helped a kid? Are there a lot of kids who need it?
So there aren't a lot of kids who need it because usually it comes later in life. So there are kids who have Chagas, but they just have that first round of symptoms. And what's great about, if you get detected early, they can help you early in it. So you're not usually in our age range. It's very rare for someone my age or your age to need a pacemaker. So the people we've been helping are more older. But they're part of a family where they have kids, and if they don't get a pacemaker, they're not going to be able to work, and they're probably going to die within a few years. So a big part of it is talking to the families, because it's a very family-oriented community, and saying, I know it's scary, and I know your father's going to have to go into Santa Cruz for a few days, and that sounds like a bad thing, but if it doesn't happen, this is the much worse thing that's going to happen.